Cop pins black doctor to ground outside hospital, unaware he just saved chief's daughter. St. Vincent Medical Center, 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Dr. Marcus Webb, a 38-year-old black cardiothoracic surgeon with steady hands and locks pulled back in a neat ponytail, was walking toward his BMW in the staff parking lot, completely unaware that the next 17 minutes would prove, once again, that a white uniform and a badge can erase a black man's credentials, his humanity, his right to simply exist. What Officer Ryan Castellano didn't know? Dr. Webb had just spent 11 hours saving a 16-year-old girl's life, the police chief's daughter. That ignorance, that assumption based on skin color, would cost him everything. Let me paint you the picture. Dr. Webb was exhausted, the kind of exhausted that seeps into your bones after holding a human heart in your hands, willing it to beat. His navy blue scrubs were rumpled, his white coat draped over one arm. His dark skin gleamed under the parking lot lights, tiny beads of sweat still visible on his forehead despite the cool night air. He carried himself with the quiet dignity of a man who'd earned every single credential: magna cum laude from Morehouse, residency at Johns Hopkins, fellowship at Mayo Clinic. A man who'd outworked, outperformed, and outproved himself in rooms that didn't expect him to succeed. But here's what Dr. Webb also carried: the weight. You know the weight I'm talking about. The hyper-awareness that comes with being black in America. Even at 2:47 a.m., even in a hospital parking lot where he'd worked for 6 years, even wearing scrubs that marked him as someone who belonged. He noticed the squad car idling near the entrance, noticed the officer's head turn as he walked past, felt that familiar tightening in his chest, the one that comes from being watched like prey. He kept his movements slow, deliberate, keys already in hand so he wouldn't have to reach into his pocket suddenly. Phone visible. Hands where they could be seen. Not again, he thought. Not tonight. Not after saving a child's life. Officer Castellano stepped out of his vehicle. Young, maybe late 20s, the kind of swagger that comes from never being questioned, never being followed, never having to prove he deserved to wear that uniform. He adjusted his belt, hand hovering near his weapon, and called out, "Hey, you! Stop right there!" Dr. Webb stopped. Of course he stopped. He'd had the talk. Knew how fast these situations could turn from humiliation to headline. How many funerals he'd attended. How many hashtags he'd seen trend. "Can I help you, officer?" His voice shifted, code switching to what his mama called his white folks' voice. Calm, professional, unthreatening. The voice that might keep him alive. "What are you doing in this parking lot?" Castellano's hand stayed near his weapon. "I work here. I'm a surgeon. Just finished a procedure." "Uh-huh." The officer's eyes traveled up and down Dr. Webb's body, lingering on his locks, his expensive sneakers, the BMW key fob. "At 3 in the morning? In the staff lot?" "Yes, sir. Cardiothoracic surgery. We don't operate on a 9 to 5 schedule." "ID." Dr. Webb reached slowly for his wallet, narrating every movement. "I'm reaching into my left pocket for my wallet now." His hospital badge dangled from his coat. Dr. Marcus Webb, MD, Fax, Department of Cardiothoracic Surgery. But Castellano didn't even glance at it. Or maybe he did. Maybe he just didn't believe it. If you're a black person watching this, you already know where this is going, don't you? How many times have you been perfectly compliant and it still wasn't enough? How many times have your credentials, your degrees, your suits, your articulation been dismissed because your skin told a different story? Drop a comment, but first, you need to hear what this officer didn't know about who he was messing with, about whose life Dr. Webb had just saved, about how spectacularly wrong assumptions based on melanin can be. Have you experienced this? The assumption, the being followed to your own car, the exhaustion of constantly proving you deserve to exist in spaces you've earned. Comment your story below. This is a safe space. We see you. Dr. Webb handed over his driver's license and hospital badge. Castellano barely looked at them. This your car? Yes. You sure about that? And there it was, the accusation beneath the question. The assumption that a black man couldn't possibly own a $70,000 vehicle parked in a hospital staff lot. That he must have stolen it, must be lying, must be guilty of something. Dr. Webb felt his jaw tighten, felt ancestors whispering, "Survive this, make it home." But also, don't you dare let them erase you. I'm very sure, officer, that's my vehicle. I've just worked an 11-hour surgery. I'd really like to go home. Step away from the car. Keep your hands where I can see them. Here's what you need to understand about what happened next. Dr. Webb didn't raise his voice, didn't make sudden movements, didn't do anything except exist in his black body while trying to go home. And somehow, that was still too much. Castellano circled the BMW, shining his flashlight through the windows like he was searching for contraband. What were you really doing here? I told you, I'm a surgeon. I performed an emergency cardiac procedure tonight. Right, a surgeon. The way he said it, dripping with disbelief, with the unspoken, "You people always lie," made Dr. Webb's stomach turn. You can verify this with hospital administration, with the nursing staff, with security. Uh-huh. And you just happen to have a BMW on a hospital salary? There it was. The assumption that black success must be criminal, that a black man with nice things must have stolen them, sold drugs for them, done something illegal to obtain them. Never mind the 2 decades of education, the student loans still being paid off. The 100-hour work weeks. I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon, officer. We're compensated well. This isn't unusual. Castellano's radio crackled. He ignored it. You're very articulate, he said, and Dr. Webb felt that familiar knife twist, the backhanded compliment, the surprise that a black man could speak in complete sentences. Thank you. What else could he say? Explaining why that was offensive would only make things worse. Got any weapons in the car? Drugs? No, sir. Mind if I search it? Mind? Of course he minded. But what were his options? Refuse and get arrested for obstruction? Comply and let his dignity be stripped away in a parking lot he'd walked through hundreds of times? Here's what Dr. Webb was thinking. What every black person thinks in these moments. Do I make a scene and confirm their stereotypes? Do I stay calm and let them humiliate me? Do I code switch harder? Or do I stand my ground and risk this escalating into another viral video, another hashtag, another mother burying her son? He'd had the talk, multiple times, from his parents, from his college advisors, from the senior black physicians who mentored him. He knew how quickly these situations could turn deadly, had seen the videos, been to the funerals of men who did everything right and still didn't make it home. But what Castellano didn't see? The hospital badge that identified him as the surgeon who just saved Police Chief Patricia Morrison's daughter, the girl who'd coded twice on the table, the impossible repair that only a handful of surgeons in the country could perform. How many of you just felt your blood pressure rise? That familiar anxiety that comes from knowing exactly how this feels? That's recognition, isn't it? I'd prefer you didn't search my vehicle without cause, officer. Wrong answer. Castellano's face hardened. So you've got something to hide. No, I have rights, and I've done nothing wrong. Running your mouth isn't going to help you. Hand still near weapon, still seeing a threat instead of a tired man trying to go home. Castellano called for backup, because apparently one officer wasn't enough for a black surgeon standing next to his own car. Within minutes, 2 more squad cars pulled up. Officers Denise Huang and Brett Stevenson emerged, already primed by Castellano's radio call. Suspicious person in hospital lot, possible vehicle theft, subject being uncooperative. Subject, not doctor, not person, Subject. Dr. Webb raised his hand slightly, palms visible. The universal black man trying not to die gesture. Officers, there's been a misunderstanding. I work here. I'm a cardiac surgeon. I just finished a procedure. Huang approached cautiously. At least she looked at his hospital badge. Dr. Webb? A flicker of hope. Someone who might see him as human. Yes, I've been here since yesterday afternoon. You can check with... If you work here, why are you in the parking lot at this hour? Stevenson interrupted, positioning himself on Dr. Webb's other side, flanking him. Standard intimidation tactics. Because I just finished surgery. This is the staff parking lot. This is my assigned space. Can anyone verify that? Huang asked. Yes, call the surgical floor. Call security. Call hospital administration. My credentials are right here. He gestured slowly toward his badge, his ID, the proof of his existence and expertise dangling from his coat. Castellano interjected. He's been evasive, refused to let me search his vehicle. Claims he's a doctor, but can't provide proof. I provided my hospital badge and driver's license. What more proof do you need? Anybody can get a fake badge, Stevenson said, especially these days. Have you ever been so calm outside while screaming inside? That's where Dr. Webb was, maintaining composure while every cell in his body wanted to scream at the absurdity, the injustice, the exhausting, soul-crushing reality that his credentials meant nothing, that his years of sacrifice meant nothing, that saving lives meant nothing when his skin told a different story. The badge isn't fake. Call the hospital, please. Huang looked uncertain. Maybe she was one of the good ones. Maybe she sensed something was wrong with his stop. But she didn't speak up, didn't challenge Castellano, didn't break rank. And silence? Silence is complicity. Castellano stepped closer. Why don't you just cooperate? Let us search the car, verify your story, and we'll let you go. Unless you've got something to hide. I don't have anything to hide, but I also don't consent to an illegal search. Illegal? You hear that? Castellano looked at his colleagues. Now he's a lawyer, too. They laughed. Stevenson chuckled like this was entertainment, like Dr. Webb's constitutional rights were a joke, like a black man asserting his dignity was comedy. Drop a point if you've lived this. If you've been educated, credentialed, accomplished, and still treated like a criminal, we're not alone. Inside the hospital, nurses were changing shifts. Security guards walked past the glass doors. White doctors in scrubs headed to their cars, keys jangling, completely unbothered by police. No one stopped them. No one questioned their right to be there. No one was pinning them to the ground, which is exactly what happened next. Dr. Webb's phone rang. The surgical floor, probably checking on post-op orders. He moved his hand toward his pocket. Don't move! 3 voices, 3 weapons drawn, 3 officers suddenly treating a phone ring like a threat to their lives. It's my phone. The hospital is calling. I'm just... Hands up! Now! His heart hammered. This was it. This was how it happened. This was how black men died. Reaching for phones, reaching for wallets, reaching for nothing at all. My hands are up. I'm not reaching for anything. Please! His voice cracked. Not the professional voice anymore. The raw, terrified voice of a man who understood how quickly this could become a funeral. Castellano grabbed his arm, yanked it behind his back, hard. Wait, what are you? I haven't done anything. You're being detained for suspicious activity and failure to comply. I've complied with everything. I showed you ID. His words cut off as Castellano shoved him against the BMW. Face pressed against cold metal, hands wrenched behind him, metal cuffs biting into wrists that had just spent 11 hours performing microsurgery. Hands that had held a teenage girl's heart. Hands that had sutured vessels smaller than thread. You're hurting me! Stop resisting. He wasn't resisting. He was standing still. But resisting is what they write in reports when they need to justify brutality. Huang stood back, uncomfortable but silent. Stevenson moved in to assist. Two grown men wrestling a compliant doctor to the ground for the crime of going to his own car. Dr. Webb's cheek scraped against asphalt, knee in his back, hands grinding the cuffs tighter. His white coat crumpled beneath him, the one with his name embroidered on it. Dr. Marcus Webb, M.D., F.A.C.S. Credentials ground into parking lot dirt. "Check his pockets," Castellano ordered. They pulled out his phone, his wallet, his car keys, his hospital ID badge that they'd already seen and dismissed. A small crowd gathered inside the hospital entrance. Nurses, a resident, a security guard, some recorded on phones. Most just watched. The black nurses wore expressions Dr. Webb couldn't see but could feel. Heartbreak, fury, helplessness. The white staff looked uncomfortable. Some walked away. No one intervened. Would you have kept your composure? We all know what happens when we don't. When black people show anger, it confirms stereotypes. When we stay calm, they escalate anyway. We can't win. "I want to speak to your supervisor," Dr. Webb managed, voice muffled against concrete. "You're making a mistake. You'll speak when we tell you to speak." He thought about his wife, India, home asleep, trusting he'd walk through their door like he did every night. He thought about his daughter, 6 years old. How could he explain this to her? How could he give her the talk when the talk doesn't keep us safe? He thought about all the times he'd been excellent. Perfect grades, perfect record, perfect life, and none of it mattered. None of it protected him, because excellence has never been armor against racism. Loop 4. The video evidence. 550 words. Dr. Webb's phone, now in Castellano's hands, lit up again. The screen showed a contact photo. Chief Morrison. Castellano stared at it. "Why is the police chief calling you?" "Because," Dr. Webb said, voice strange from the knee still pressed into his spine, "I just saved her daughter's life." "Right, and I'm the mayor." Castellano silenced the call. But the phone kept buzzing. Text messages, multiple calls, the surgical floor, the ICU, the hospital administrator, all trying to reach Dr. Webb for post-operative updates on Sarah Morrison, the 16-year-old who'd arrived at 3:12 p.m. yesterday with a ruptured aortic valve. The girl everyone said wouldn't make it. Everyone except Dr. Webb. Inside the hospital, charge nurse Patricia Chen had seen enough. She pushed through the doors, her 30 years of experience propelling her forward with righteous fury. "What in God's name are you doing?" She didn't raise her voice, didn't need to. Authority and disgust dripped from every syllable. "Get off him, now!" "Ma'am, step back. This is police business." "This is Dr. Marcus Webb. He's a cardiothoracic surgeon. He works here, and you're assaulting him in our parking lot." "We received reports of suspicious activity." "From who? The racism department?" Patricia Chen was Chinese-American, 63 years old, and had precisely zero patience for this particular brand of stupidity. "I've worked with Dr. Webb for 6 years. He just spent 11 hours saving a child's life. Get off him." Can you see your mother in this? Your sister? The person who couldn't stay silent anymore? Who decided their safety was less important than speaking up? Huang finally spoke. "Castellano, maybe we should—" "We're conducting an investigation." But his voice wavered, the confidence cracking. "Investigation of what? A black man going to his own car?" Patricia pulled out her phone. "I'm calling hospital administration. And Chief Morrison, who I'm guessing is calling Dr. Webb because her daughter is in post-op and she wants updates." Castellano's face paled. "What?" "Sarah Morrison, Police Chief Patricia Morrison's daughter, came in yesterday with a ruptured valve. Dr. Webb performed the surgery, saved her life, and you've got him handcuffed on the ground." The knee pressure eased, slightly. Dr. Webb lifted his head. "I tried to tell you." More hospital staff emerged. Dr. Yolanda James, another black surgeon, Dr. Patel from neurology, residents, nurses, some recording, all witnessing. "This is not what it looks like," Castellano started. "It looks like you racially profiled a surgeon," Dr. James said coldly. "In 2024, with witnesses and cameras." Castellano looked around. Hospital security cameras, phone cameras, dashboard cameras on the squad cars that had recorded everything. Hit like if these stories need to be told. Racism thrives in silence. Accountability needs witnesses. "I'm going to need those cuffs removed," Dr. Webb said quietly. "And then I'm going to need your badge numbers, all of you." "Sir, if you just cooperated." "I did cooperate. I provided ID, explained myself, did everything right, and you still put me on the ground. We both know why." The answer hung in the air, unspoken but deafening. Because he was black. Patricia Chen hit dial. The phone rang twice. "Chen, what's wrong? Why isn't Dr. Webb answering his phone? Sarah's O2 sats dropped." "Chief Morrison, we have a situation in the staff parking lot. Your officers have Dr. Webb detained, handcuffed, on the ground." Silence. "Then, repeat that." "Dr. Webb, the surgeon who saved your daughter's life 3 hours ago, is currently being detained by officers," she looked at Castellano's badge, "Ryan Castellano, Denise Huang, and Brett Stevenson." "Put Castellano on the phone. Now." Chen held out her phone. Castellano hesitated, then took it. "Castellano?" His voice had lost its authority. What followed was inaudible to most, but everyone saw Castellano's face drain of color, saw him straighten, saw him mouth, "Yes, ma'am," repeatedly, saw him gesture frantically for Stevenson to remove the handcuffs. When he handed the phone back to Patricia Chen, his hands shook. "Dr. Webb." Castellano's voice had transformed from aggressor to beggar. "There's been a misunderstanding." Dr. Webb stood slowly, wrists marked with red lines from the cuffs. His white coat was filthy, his scrubs torn at the knee, his dignity trampled but not broken. "A misunderstanding." He let the word hang. "Is that what we're calling racial profiling now?" "I was following protocol." "Protocol for what? Seeing a black man and assuming criminality? That's not protocol, that's racism." Huang stepped forward. "Dr. Webb, we apologize." "Do you?" He looked at each of them. "Do you apologize because you were wrong, or because I turned out to be someone important? Because here's the truth. I shouldn't have to be a surgeon for you to treat me with basic human dignity. Every black person deserves that. The janitor, the parking attendant, the person you assume doesn't belong." Stevenson looked at his shoes. The universal gesture of complicity caught. "What if I wasn't a doctor?" Dr. Webb continued, voice rising with controlled fury he'd suppressed for 17 minutes. "What if I was a hospital tech, a maintenance worker? Would you still be apologizing? Or would I be in your squad car right now, charged with resisting arrest I never did?" Silence. "That's what I thought." More vehicles arrived. Hospital security, an administrator in business casual despite the 3 a.m. hour. And finally, Police Chief Patricia Morrison herself, arriving with the speed of a mother who'd just been told someone mistreated the man who saved her daughter. Comment what you think happens when they find out the truth, when the power dynamic flips, when accountability comes knocking. Chief Morrison emerged from her vehicle, a white woman in her 50s, gray hair pulled back, eyes blazing with something between fury and horror. She took in the scene. Dr. Webb's torn clothes, the marks on his wrists, the 3 officers who suddenly found the ground fascinating. "Someone," she said quietly, "is going to explain to me why the surgeon who saved my daughter's life looks like he's been assaulted." And that's when Officer Ryan Castellano understood. He destroyed his own career based on an assumption, based on bias, based on the belief that a black man couldn't possibly belong in this space. Time for accountability. "Chief Morrison, Castellano started. I didn't ask you to speak yet. She turned to Dr. Webb. Are you injured? My wrists, my knee, my pride. He met her eyes. But I'm alive, which feels like the bar we've set. Black men should be grateful to survive police encounters, even when we've done nothing wrong. Morrison's jaw tightened. She'd spent 30 years in law enforcement, fought her way up in a system that didn't welcome women. But this was indefensible. I want body cam footage, dashboard cam footage, every recording from every device in every witness phone. I want incident reports from all 3 officers on my desk in an hour. She looked at the hospital security cameras, and I want that footage preserved. Chief, if I could just explain, Castellano tried again. Explain what? You stopped a black surgeon in a staff parking lot, ignored his credentials, refused to verify his employment, called for backup, drew weapons, and physically assaulted him. What's your probable cause? Officer Castellano? The vehicle seemed... He matched. Matched what? A description? Of what crime? Or did he match the description of being black? When was the last time you saw a white officer held accountable in real time? Can you feel the shift happening? Huang spoke up. I suggested we call the hospital to verify, Chief. Did you? Morrison turned to her. And then what did you do? Stand there and watch while your colleague violated this man's rights? Congratulations, Officer Huang. Complicity still makes you guilty. Stevenson remained silent, smart enough to know anything he said would only make it worse. Dr. Webb's phone buzzed again. India, his wife, calling because he should have been home an hour ago. May I? He gestured to his phone, now back in his possession. Morrison nodded. Hey, baby, I'm okay. I'll explain when I get home. Yes, I love you too. He hung up, looked at the officers. That's my wife. She's been worried. Because black women in America go to bed every night wondering if their husbands will come home, if police will decide their lives don't matter. The words landed like accusations, like truth. Dr. Webb, Morrison said, I can't undo what happened to you tonight. I can't erase the humiliation or the fear or the exhaustion of constantly having to prove your humanity. But I can promise you consequences, real ones. Can you? He wasn't hostile, just tired. How many times have we heard that? How many viral videos end with paid administrative leave and officers back on duty? How many hashtags turn into nothing? This time will be different. Why? Because your daughter's life was involved? Because I matter to you personally now? He paused. Every black person matters, Chief Morrison. Whether they save your daughter or serve your coffee. The janitor matters as much as the surgeon. When will that be the standard? Share this with someone who doesn't understand living while black. This is the education they need. Morrison nodded slowly. You're right, and I'm going to make sure this department understands that. We'll see, Dr. Webb said. And he was right to be skeptical, because promises made at 3 a.m. in parking lots don't always survive daylight. But this time would be different. Dr. Marcus Webb reached into his coat pocket, the pocket Castellano had rifled through earlier, and pulled out a small leather case. Slowly, deliberately. He opened it to reveal multiple forms of identification: his medical license, his hospital credentials, his board certification in cardiothoracic surgery, his faculty appointment at the University Medical School. My name is Dr. Marcus Jerome Webb. I graduated magna cum laude from Morehouse College, medical degree from Johns Hopkins, residency at Johns Hopkins, fellowship at Mayo Clinic. I'm the youngest cardiothoracic surgeon this hospital has ever hired. I've published 47 peer-reviewed articles. I've performed over 3,000 surgeries. I've saved countless lives. He held up his wrists, still marked from handcuffs. And tonight, I saved Police Chief Morrison's daughter, repaired a ruptured aortic valve that 3 other surgeons said was inoperable, Spent 11 hours on my feet, holding a child's heart in my hands, keeping her alive through 2 cardiac arrests. Then I came out to my car, the car I purchased with money I earned through decades of work, and I was treated like a criminal. Not because of anything I did, because of what I look like. The hospital administrator stepped forward. Dr. Webb is one of our most respected surgeons. He's saved hundreds of lives. And you, she looked at Castellano, you assaulted him in our parking lot in front of witnesses while he was trying to go home after saving a child's life. Castellano's confidence, that entitlement, that assumed superiority built on a lifetime of never being questioned, crumbled. Not because he suddenly understood racism was wrong, but because he'd made the mistake of harassing someone with power, someone connected, someone whose value the system recognized. The color drained from his face. Not shame, not remorse. Fear of consequences. Black witnesses, nurses, techs, that security guard watched with satisfaction. Finally. Let him feel what we feel. Vindication hummed through them like electricity. White enablers suddenly discovered urgent business elsewhere. Huang started backing away. Stevenson found his shoes fascinating. The white staff who'd watched and said nothing? Suddenly invisible. And in that moment, power shifted. The person followed, questioned, disrespected, assaulted, now in control. The person who felt entitled to brutalize a black man? About to learn what accountability tastes like. Have you ever seen a racist face consequences in real time? How did it feel? This is what accountability looks like. Comment below. If you're feeling that satisfaction, that finally consequences, hit that like button. Share this. Let the world see racism has a price tag. Chief Morrison pulled out her radio. I need internal affairs at St. Vincent Medical Center, now. And someone get the DA on the phone. We have a civil rights violation. Dr. Webb didn't smile, didn't gloat. That's not who he was. Not who we are. But justice? Justice was coming. By sunrise, Officer Ryan Castellano was suspended without pay. By noon, the video had gone viral. Dashcam footage showing a compliant Dr. Webb being brutalized. Hospital security footage showing Castellano ignoring credentials. Bodycam audio catching every dismissive comment, every racist assumption. 6 million views in 12 hours. Hashtag Justice for Dr. Webb trending nationally. By week's end, Castellano was fired. No severance package, no recommendation, no second chances. The police union tried to defend him, but the video was damning. Even they couldn't spin, "I don't care who you think you are," said to a surgeon, as acceptable policing. Officer Denise Huang? Suspended for failure to intervene. She'd seen wrong and chosen silence. Silence, Chief Morrison told the press, makes you complicit. Officer Brett Stevenson? Same fate. Suspended, under investigation, career hanging by a thread. The legal consequences came fast. Federal civil rights lawsuit filed by Dr. Webb's attorneys, $8.5 million for assault, false imprisonment, violation of constitutional rights, emotional distress, and civil rights violations. The city settled within 3 months, couldn't risk trial. Criminal charges followed: assault and battery, violation of civil rights under color of authority. Castellano faced up to 5 years in federal prison. The social consequences were swift. Someone found Castellano's social media, posts mocking Black Lives Matter, jokes about thugs, photos at rallies with questionable symbolism. Newspapers ran them. His name became synonymous with racist policing. His girlfriend left him. His parents released a statement, deeply disappointed in his choices. Former friends posted on social media, "I don't condone racism." The universal abandonment when accountability arrives. He couldn't find work. Every Google search of his name returned articles about the assault. Racist cop autofilled after his name. Security guard jobs rejected him. Private investigation firms rejected him. Even his uncle's construction company turned him away. He'd gone from authority figure to cautionary tale in 72 hours. The police department faced systemic consequences. Department of Justice investigation. Pattern and practice inquiry. Other victims came forward. 12 complaints against Castellano in 3 years. All dismissed. All from black citizens. The pattern was undeniable. Chief Morrison, to her credit, didn't hide, didn't make excuses, mandated anti-bias training for every officer, implemented new accountability measures, hired an independent review board led by community members, actually listened to black residents who'd been saying this for years. It wasn't enough. It's never enough, but it was something. 6 months later, the consequences continued to unfold. Castellano attempted an apology, a post on social media. "I've had time to reflect and learn. I'm committed to growing and being better." The Universal Racist's Redemption Playbook. It was screenshot, mocked, and rejected. Because apologies don't erase trauma, don't undo humiliation, don't restore the hours Dr. Webb spent being treated as subhuman. The lawsuit details became public. $8.5 million broken down, $3 million for emotional distress, $2 million for civil rights violations, $2 million in punitive damages, $1.5 million for loss of dignity and professional harm. Every dollar a testament to how severely Dr. Webb had been wronged. Castellano lost his house, lost his car. His ex-girlfriend gave interviews. "I didn't know who he really was." The complicity of claiming ignorance. The police union tried to get him reinstated. Failed. Judge ruled his actions were indefensible and represented a clear pattern of racial bias. Other enablers faced consequences too. The sergeant who'd ignored previous complaints? Demoted. The training officer who'd taught Castellano? Under review. The system that protected him? Finally scrutinized. Castellano became the example in police academy diversity training. His video shown nationwide as what not to do. This is how racial bias destroys careers and violates rights. His humiliation, educational. Meanwhile, other victims of his harassment came forward. A black teenager he'd stopped 12 times in 6 months. A black family he'd followed to their own home. A black businesswoman he'd handcuffed for suspicious activity outside her own store. Pattern and practice. All received settlements. All got apologies. The total cost to the city? $14 million. The cost to Castellano? Everything. He filed for bankruptcy, moved out of state, changed his name legally. But Google doesn't forget, racism in 2024 comes with digital footprints and permanent records. In Dr. Webb, he used his platform. When reporters asked how he felt, Dr. Webb didn't gloat. That's not who he is, not who we are. "I'm tired. Tired of proving I deserve to exist in spaces I've earned. Tired of mental gymnastics. Speak up and risk violence, or stay silent and accept disrespect. Tired of the talk I'll have to give my daughter about how to survive encounters with police. Tired of excellence being the price of basic dignity." He paused, chose his words carefully. "But I'm not angry at Officer Castellano. I'm angry at the system that made him feel entitled. The system that told him a black man in a parking lot must be criminal. The system that protects officers who brutalize black people until video evidence makes it impossible to ignore. I'm angry this happens every day to people without resources or platform or police chief connections. I'm angry we're still fighting for basic dignity in 2024. But I'm hopeful, because accountability changes behavior. If my experience stops this from happening to one other black person, it was worth it. If it makes one officer think twice before assuming criminality based on skin color, it was worth it. The reporter asked, Do you think you receive justice because you're a surgeon? Because of who you are? Dr. Webb's response was careful, truthful. Yes, I think my credentials helped. My connection to the police chief helped. The witnesses helped. The videos helped. But here's what shouldn't matter. My job, my degrees, my achievements. I didn't have to be a surgeon to deserve respect. Every black person, the janitor, the student, the unemployed, deserves to walk to their car without being assaulted. Dignity shouldn't require credentials. The reporters loved it. The black community felt it. The video went viral again. Because truth resonates. And he wasn't done using his platform. 1 year later, Dr. Marcus Webb still works at St. Vincent Medical Center, still saves lives, still walks to his car in that same parking lot, though now officers nod respectfully when they see him. Funny how respect appears when consequences exist. He started a foundation, the Dignity Initiative, provides legal support for black people facing racial profiling, funded by his settlement money, has helped 47 people fight back, win settlements, get justice. He speaks at medical schools. Excellence isn't armor against racism, but using your platform, that changes things. He mentors young black surgeons, teaches them about code switching, about the talk, about surviving in spaces that weren't built for them, teaches them they don't have to be perfect to deserve respect. His daughter is 7 now. She knows what happened. He gave her a version of the talk, age-appropriate, honest. Sometimes people make assumptions based on how we look. It's not fair, it's not right, and it's not your fault. She asked, "Did you change their minds, Daddy?" He said, "I don't know if I changed their minds, but I changed their behavior, and sometimes that's enough." Officer Ryan Castellano lives in a different state now, works warehouse jobs under his new legal name, still claims he made a mistake but isn't racist, still doesn't understand that actions define you, not intentions. Officer Huang completed bias training, returned to duty, and reportedly intervenes now when she sees problematic stops. Growth? Maybe. Too little, too late? Definitely. Officer Stevenson quit law enforcement, works in his family's HVAC business, says policing wasn't for him. Closer to truth, accountability wasn't for him. Chief Morrison retired 2 years later. Her daughter, Sarah, the girl whose life Dr. Webb saved, graduated high school, wants to be a doctor, specifically a cardiothoracic surgeon, because Dr. Webb inspired her. Sometimes redemption looks like the next generation doing better. St. Vincent Medical Center overhauled security protocols, trained staff on implicit bias, hired a black security director, implemented accountability measures, real ones. The parking lot where it happened now has a plaque. Let this be a reminder that dignity is not conditional, excellence is not armor, and every person deserves respect. Do you think the punishment fit the crime, or should there have been more? What would you have done? Let's discuss in comments, respectfully. These stories matter because they're real. They happen every day to black people in America. Subscribe so you never miss a story. Hit the bell. Join a community that refuses to let racism go unchecked. We're building accountability. Here's what I want you to remember. Racism isn't just burning crosses and slurs. It's the assumption that a black person doesn't belong. It's the extra scrutiny, the microaggressions that pile up until you can't breathe. It's being excellent and still not enough. It's saving a child's life and still being treated like a criminal. For black people watching, I see you. I see your exhaustion, the code switching, the respectability politics, the constant proving. You deserve better. You deserve to exist without justifying your existence. For everyone else, don't be Officer Castellano. Don't enable him. Don't be the silent witness who walks away. Be better. Speak up. Intervene. Because underestimating black people, that's a mistake you can't afford to make. Disrespecting us? That comes with consequences now. We have phones. We have platforms. We have lawyers. We have each other. And we're done being silent. Next week A black teen is accused of stealing from her own family's store. What happens when the manager realizes who owns the business? You won't believe how this ends. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications. These stories need to be told.